Hi everyone, my name is Sophia Argyris, and I'm very happy to be here to share a few of my poems with you. I'm going to start by reading a few poems from my recent pamphlet Heronless, published by Palewell Press. The poems within this pamphlet were all written in the relatively short space of time between when my mother died and my father died. During that time, my dad was also suffering from the late stages of Parkinson's disease. Also in the pamphlet are poems about our more collective grief around climate change, our loss of connection with the natural world or the more than human. But I'd like to start by reading a poem that is about growing up with a mother who suffered from depression. My mum was a very wonderful mother, and she also did suffer quite severely from depression. So this is called Years with Blue Mother. We set our limitations early. Don't upset the day's tender balance. Don't look happiness directly in the eye. The house sagged with feelings. Some bodies always need fierce movement, the looseness of being outside. Cycling the beach road with Playmobil people tucked in our pockets, climbing trees in empty forests, we ran the gauntlet of such freedoms. I shrank into my smallest shape, but I was growing all the time. I'm still wishing you happy. I'm still hoping to find a cure. You'd think I'd recognize impossible by now. I'd have swallowed your whole sorrow if I could, burnt it in the furnace of my gunpowder body, watched the ash turn to brimstone moths and gather close to your light. Because you did also shine. See, always our best colour. I used to spread it thick on paper. We used to simmer in it, salted and careful. It's with me even in your long absence. Tidal in the kitchen every morning. It fills the fridge and spills across the lawn. But I'm fine. I don't want you to worry. I know there are other colours to choose from. I've closed and locked the doors. The last house you lived in. We carried it all out, piece by piece, noting each object's shape and weight, deciding what to keep, what to let go, until the house stood hollow, dust already gathering in corners, the garden forgetting itself. Now, far away again, I'm haunted by vacant expanses of wall, soundless carpet in the hall, unbroken stretches of wood floors. As if I were still wandering your rooms, opening and closing all the doors, searching for you at the borders between loss and the life we lived. This next poem is a mixture of images of that time when we were clearing my mother's house and also witnessing my father as the symptoms of Parkinson's disease began to erode his independence and also to affect his sense of reality, which was at that time occasionally becoming less stable. Faltering bodies. Rain, apples, bombs, they all fall. Trees, hearts, and reservoir levels. The bench in the garden, its splintering legs. Now tall independence can only haunt corridors and cupboards. Where do we keep the plates? Hands a little cold, so gentle. A body can have its own eloquence, a plant stem drooping late in the season, a shuffle that nothing compares to. I'm drifting, I'm static, I'm right here beside you. The piano hasn't been played in years, but there's music flooding the hall. Can't set the table, it isn't there. Take down the certificates and paintings. The bed upstairs, tender skin stripped of its linen. Now independence haunts the ceiling. All day it fills the view. Unless you know sky, you wouldn't understand. Language never stumbles. Words still sing clearly, but bodies falter at their limit. They do. Is it 1 in the morning or the afternoon. Daydreams and sea fill these unresolved hours. There's a chair by the bed where someone is missing, waves in the shell of an ear. And this is a very small portrait of my mother. Her middle name was June, and it also relates to the month June. This is called June. It's Tuesday, and I think of you. How you loved to sit in your morning garden in the oak moon, your feet stuck out in front of you, toes twitching to some inner rhythm, stirring your coffee with a teaspoon so old its edges had worn sharp. Its small silver bowl could only ever measure out parts of your life. And this is the title poem, Heronless. I look for him from the footbridge. He's not in any of his usual places, not midstream in shallows, not below the arch under the road, not at the corner on a stony outcrop. The fishes are swimming undeterred, and the day feels so heronless without him. The sky has turned a darker grey than he is. The sun has hidden her light that would be yellow like his eye. Water has tried to ripple itself into feathers. Nothing is as delicate as the way he steps forward. I know I shouldn't be thinking about herons when the world is collapsing round our ears, but if only I could stand in his long-legged, careful presence, I think I could almost bear it. Without him, there's a lack of sharp-beaked swiftness, keen, concentrated stillness, the hunter's single-pointed focus. I can't seem to turn away from his absence, can't face the furious flood of traffic, can't find the strength to read any messages, let alone the news. Even the ducks are not laughing, but sleeping, heads under their wings in sorrow, trees wring their leaves and sigh. I'll look for him again tomorrow. My father's side of the family were Greek, and this poem, the title starts with a Greek word that means empathetic or universal love. Agape, or how caves love you. I always thought caves would taste of stone, of echo, and how light loves the edges of their mouths. I don't think of them as possessive. Tides come and go, exhaling their fish and seaweed breath. Bats hang out and leave again. If creatures choose to live within such cavernous lungs, become eyeless and pale over centuries, caves accept it all. If something dies within their walls, they will cradle the body as it dwindles to bone, because a gift once given must not be spurned. Caves don't understand time, but as they age, gypsum flowers and rimstone dams form in their veins. Their hearts are always wide open. In our clutching world, to be so agape is terrifying. Agape, so close to the Greek word for love. I thought I knew them through fear of dark and the pressing weight of rock, how it curves a petrified sky. But last time I stepped inside the earth, its throat was not as I thought. I took a pinch of darkness between my fingers and let it dissolve on my tongue. It didn't taste of anything expected. It was powder from the wing of a day-flying moth. It was the opposite of lonely. Scots pine. Where pines marked out the map of land, right to the edge of white sand beaches, the scent of sea, of pine, of our roaming. Rough bark-skinned trees, skinned hands and knees. Remember how they held our northern pale bodies, the tender soles of our feet, against their spiny arms. Remember them crowding hillsides, ever green, ever breathing, ever present. How tall, how old, how thickly alive they stood. A silent throng across the bay, a dark, watchful wood of them, a deep-hearted stillness only trees can keep. their soft mossed roots, ferns between. Remember the logging roads you followed, the fallen ones, piles of trunks, that feeling in the air, a hollow, a waiting, a losing, a pining, a knowing. The clearing, sorrel dragonflies and stagnant water, their needles and cones on the ground, the sound of them in a storm. Remember them falling when the winds were too strong, the pines that should be here long after you're gone. Now, I'd like to finish by reading you a couple of more recent poems. This first one is to be, or probably has been by the time you see this, published in Poetry Island Review. This is The Ruin, the Ruin, the Love. An owl's face framed by a windscreen, dried bladderwrack laced with pink nylon cord, a plastic parrot in a plastic cage saying, who's a pretty then? Menus that always list chicken in a basket, a ketchup bottle the shape of a tomato, my brother's small hands squeezing its middle, an adder, a glass jar, a large piece of driftwood. The man who watched me walk to school said I was stuck up and my friends looked like bitches. The shop that sold tenpenny mixes of sweets. The track through the gorse from the barrel house down to the beach. Hair streaked in a river, hands hiding a face. Are you getting the picture? That muffled place at the center of the forest, the sensation of touching a cat's corpse, shock of its unyielding stasis. A wound in the belly of my displaced family, the kind that bleeds out if not stitched, quickly and tenderly, a door key, a note passed in class. The vacant stare of a Clearfell site, all the links that will never come home to the highlands, rumours of quicksand down near the pillbox, this lack of knowing what home means anyway. Put a foot wrong and you're lost. A child's rubber sandal found a year after it's dropped. And I'll finish with a poem that was recently commended in the Ware Poets Prize and will be in the anthology. Before I read this, I should just mention tsoureki is a Greek bread, kind of like a brioche sweet that is eaten around Easter traditionally. And the Hagia Sophia is a Greek Orthodox church in London. As I mentioned, my dad's side of the family were Greek. They were not religious in any way, but my dad did like to use the traditional Greek Orthodox greetings for Easter. So this is 3 thoughts in April. Thought 1. Warm concrete, lambs, the shouldness of happy, mornings that taste of buds and worry. It's not even Easter, but you're eating tsoureki because you can't call your father on Sunday, say, Christos anesti, Christ is risen, or hear him respond, Alithos anesti, he is risen indeed. In truth, your family were unorthodox. Perhaps it relates to being only half anything. In secret, you're tempted by the brick physiognomy of the Hagia Sophia on Moscow Road. Thought 2. You're remembering when drought made an autumn of summer, leaves died back to sepia, fell in July. Everyone grew outlandish, loquacious, said things like, look, a dragonfly, where did I put the ice tray? It was like this once in the 90s or 80s, or anyway, we did have one hot summer before these extinctions. You tried not to show how you loved it, the sun, mostly went barefoot, repented in silence when your train passed an egret forlorn in a bowl of parched land. Thought 3. Last night, a storm called you awake with its morning, slow ululations, intentions to gather things into itself and carry them off. You thought of this story, your mother scattering her friend's ashes, wind lavishing them back on her face. There was no wind the days you scattered your parents. Time breaks on borders of countries, the sticks between life and death. You're wondering again what giving up looks like. There are people in England still untouched by loss. There are places where spring hasn't even arrived. Thank you so much for listening. And you can find copies of Heronless through Pale Will Press. And I wish you all a wonderful rest of your day.